What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back again with another 90-day fiance video, and this one is all about Binny. Now, before we continue, let's start off by giving a big massive shout out to every single person that is a member of the channel. Now, it seems to me as if Binny decided to take to his Instagram account to respond to people that apparently have been spreading misinformation about his relationship with his child. But hey, correction, with his firstborn child, with another American woman, for the people that don't know. But nonetheless though, let's get into this one itself in particular. Now, as we can see right here, ladies and gentlemen, he starts off by saying, "It has come to my attention that there are rumors being spread concerning my first son. Normally, I ignore false rumors. However, in this case, it would potentially hurt my son in the future. If he were to read them, I love my son too much to ever give up my right or let anyone else adopt him. He has never been legally adopted by anyone. Also, in most of the US, even if you get your parental rights terminated, you still have to pay child support. But that would never, ever factor into my decision making. I want to always be there to support him in whatever way he needs. Not only has this part of my life been extremely painful, but it has been difficult on the people I love. Out of respect for my son, please don't continue to spread hateful misinformation. Thank you very much." You know, as I read this the first time, I sat there and I said to myself, I'm about to rip into this dude. Because to be honest with you, when I read it, I said to myself, absolute garbage. Now, let me explain why. First and foremost, we know that Binny has been living in his homeland for the longest time possible. In fact, when him and Ari first came on 90 Day Fiancé, it was 90 Day Fiancé the other way. And even since then, him and Ari have pretty much lived in his homeland, raising their child. And also on top of that, in one of the episodes, I think it was last week's episode, no, the episode before that, the episode where obviously we had to drink the wine through in Ari's face, we saw that his sisters did not want him to leave. So we know that he's been at home, or in his homeland, for basically a while. Which therefore brought me back to this statement and made me think, this is why this is bull crap. Now look at it this way. He said that not only has this part of my life been extremely painful, but it has been difficult on the people I love, out of respect for my son. Now, here's the thing though. He talks about it being extremely painful. Now, let's take a step back real quick when it comes to his relationship with Ari. As far as I'm concerned, if it's been extremely painful for him to not see his son, then why didn't he jump to go and move to the States earlier on? Because as far as I'm concerned, it seemed to me as if he enjoyed staying at home more than he enjoyed leaving his homeland, in terms of the fact that, well, look at it this way. There was times when he wouldn't even respond to Ari. And then it turned out apparently it's because he was in the music studio or whatever studio he was in, doing other things, you know, therefore neglecting his phone. Which is quite interesting because it tells me that if he was ignoring Ari at that time, bear in mind, Ari is not the mother of this child, bear in mind, just in case you don't get confused, he's got a child, a firstborn, with another American woman, and this child is in America from what I understand. So the fact that he hasn't even been in the States for a very long time is very concerning to me. Now, we can talk about visas and saying that maybe it hasn't been that possible, but how else could he be there for his child? Well, he could be there in terms of trying to find a visa somehow, if that's possible. Or, well, maybe a video chat, or financially. Let's talk about the financials. We know that in the very first episode of him landing in America and him meeting Ari's parents, well, it was abundantly clear that he had no financials. Why? Because, well, him and Ari took no shame in asking, or especially him, asking Ari's parents to continue paying their bills until at least he could get a job, and until at least maybe she could also get a job too. Now, of course, that's a whole different conversation because we know Ari is one entitled person. Now, at the same time though, when we look at Binny's most recent attitude in the most recent episode, how he talks about how he wants to be an MMA fighter, tells me that his priorities of making money isn't really up there, which therefore means that, well, look at it this way. A lot of people that have children, when it comes to providing for their children, they don't worry too much about trying to make money in terms of trying to do a dream job. They worry more about having a job at the meantime, that can pay the bills, that can pay for your child, and then on the side, inspire to obviously achieve whatever dream they have. Okay, that's what people would generally do. But with him, no, there is no conversation of, hey, I'm in America now. Let me maybe see if I can make a communication or connection with my son to go and see him. But instead of doing that, what does he do? He takes a train ride to New York as well. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't think that I'm neglecting the fact that Ari is a very jealous person. And don't think I'm neglecting the fact that Ari will probably make it difficult for him to see his son, even if he was going to. Because in my opinion, if he was going to, I think we would have heard about it right about now, but we haven't. I mean, look at it this way. The matter of fact is, when he was back home and when he was supposed to tell his sisters that he was leaving and obviously prolonged it, you got to think to yourself, that scene when he tells his sisters that he's going to be moving to the States, they get upset with him. Well, no, they get upset Ari more than anything else. You would think in that scene where he did not defend his own woman, you would think that if he was going to defend Ari in that conversation, maybe he would have said, listen, I want to go to the States, not just because I want to be there with Ari and our child, but also so I can be closer to my firstborn and actually try and make a relationship with him, because I've missed however many years that I've missed with him. But we didn't get that, did we? Now, don't get it twisted. I know that when it comes to TLC, they don't show us the full picture. So, of course, I've got to take everything for how I see it. But as far as I am concerned, if he was really going to put his child in some sort of conversation, I'm sure he would have mentioned, I'm sure TLC would have probably put on a little thing here and there, but we haven't heard none of that, okay? Now, also at the same time, and don't get me wrong, this is where we can say maybe this is more using Ari rather than actually, being with her. But listen, the matter of fact is, the second that him and Ari became a thing, he could have used that opportunity to get out of his country as soon as possible and fly over to the States as soon as possible, so therefore he could actually be closer to his child. But no, he didn't take that opportunity because, well, he wanted to stay homebound where he could be with his family, with his friends, and most importantly, focus on his career of making music and all the other shebang that he's always thinking about. I mean, look at it this way. When he was at home, he was doing this and that. Now he's in the States and he's thinking about being an MMA fighter before thinking about seeing his child. He's thinking about going to New York before seeing his own child. Which therefore brings me back to this part of the video. Of the statement. He talks about how he has never been legally adopted by anyone. And he also talks about how he loves his son and he would never give up his rights to his son. Well, look at it this way. Obviously, that statement itself in particular is probably him responding to people that have mentioned adoption. But as far as I'm concerned, the fact that he said he has never been legally adopted by anyone tells me that there is a high chance, a possible chance that, well, his first son possibly has a father figure in his life right now that is probably dating or maybe in a serious relationship with his baby mother. So therefore, that means that there is a man right now who has stepped up to the plate, who is obviously looking after his child, and maybe there is that possible chance where maybe that guy wants to adopt him. But here's the thing though, regardless of whether that guy wants to adopt his firstborn child or not, the matter of fact is, at least he's there. At least he's there to be a father figure. At least he's there to be a role model. That is given that that there is a father figure there at this moment in time. Because to be honest with you, the fact that he talks about how his child has not been legally adopted tells me that clearly that there is someone there at this moment in time that, maybe he's blocking or he's doing some sort of malarkey nonsense. But let's continue though, because he also finishes off by saying, also in most of the US, even if you get your parental rights terminated, you still have to pay child support. Now, he obviously does kind of simmer it down by saying, but that would never, ever factor into my decision making. It's the part where he says decision making. Well, if you love your son, then why are we talking about decision making? Because that means that there is no decision that needs to be made. Now, you could say that maybe I'm nitpicking a bit too much, but trust me when I tell you, when children are involved, if you're not nitpicking, then I'm worried for you. Because as far as I'm concerned, when children are involved, you got to nitpick every single part. Because if you don't, oh my goodness gracious me, I'll leave it there in terms of that statement itself in particular. So as far as I'm concerned, if there is no decision making, then why are you telling us that? If you dig what I'm saying. Because as far as I'm concerned, it seems, and to be fair, let's talk about the financials. We know that he has no money. We know he can't get a job right now. And we also know that even when he gets a job, he wants to do MMA. And look at it this way. It seems to me that even though he's gonna, to be fair, it seems to me that a part of it, maybe, just maybe one of the reasons why it's taken him so long to travel from his homeland to the States, maybe it's because it was for him to avoid paying any fees towards his child, because he does say clearly here that also in most of the US. So that means he knows his research in terms of which state he needs to be in to pay child support and which state to not be in to pay child support. Although I thought that you had to pay child support no matter what state you are in the US, but I guess he knows more than I do, which he probably would, because I'm not the one with a child right now with someone in America, you know what I mean? I mean, listen, I have no child point blank period, nor do I ever plan to have a child, to be honest with you. I can just about look after myself. And when I say that, what I mean is I'm a man child at best. You know what I mean? Having two of me would be a nightmare. God damn. But anyway, let's proceed. The matter of fact is, though, ladies and gentlemen, it tells me that there's a potential that the reason why he has stayed in his homeland for so long is probably to avoid actually paying for his child. And he's probably moved to a state that he knows that maybe he can get away with that paying for his child. But if you ask me, even if there was a chance of his child ever being potentially adopted, he'd probably let it go. He'd probably let it happen, to be honest with you. But he would never let us know, for sure. But as far as I'm concerned, again, I'm not neglecting the fact that Ari will obviously play a role in this, because I'm sure that she would probably do whatever she can to block him from seeing his son. And I'm pretty sure that she would probably make sure that he puts more money or all of his money into their child rather than into his child with someone else. So I'm not saying that Ari is not an obstacle, but what I'm trying to say is that, well, whether or not she's an obstacle or not, and even before she existed, it seems to me as if the movements wasn't being made by him. But hey, let me know what you're thinking. Maybe you think that I'm reaching. Maybe you think I'm being too far-fetched. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, one thing that I do know for sure is that he has definitely not made enough efforts to see his son. And I don't see how he could have made enough efforts to even pay for his son. At least with Colby, we knew that he was doing FaceTimes. You know what I mean? This man here, I call BS. I call absolute BS on that statement, and I think that statement is just a bullcrap just to cover himself. But in reality, he had no plans to actually make any actions, if you dig what I'm saying. Actions over words. And to be honest with you, even though we're not entitled to seeing this, as far as I'm concerned, until I can see a picture of him next to his child with a blurred face, you know what I mean? Arguably, with a blurred face, respectfully, I'm not believing that this guy is giving a damn about his child. And most importantly, I'm not believing this little bit here where he says about how his life has been how this part of his life has been extremely painful. Because trust me when I tell you, if it had been extremely painful, he would have made things happen. But he didn't. Well, but he hasn't. Will he? That's another question. If we ever find out, I'll be here to let you guys know. If we never find out, I'm going to keep running with the same freaking narrative. Nonetheless though, thank you so much for your time. Like, subscribe, and peace.